today's landscape of rifles, the word is out. If it ain't the freshest, it ain't worth the fuss. Yet once you reach past 200 yards, where the likes of wind drift, shooter skill, and recoil management come into play, it becomes clear that newer doesn't always translate to better. Out there, it's about how it performs, not how it gleams. This principle applies equally to your cartridge choice as it does to your shooting know-how. Regrettably, many cartridges that addressed these issues long ago have been brushed aside in the scramble for the latest model. In this video, we're shining the spotlight back on these gems. These 9 underrated hunting cartridges have proved themselves in the essentials: trajectory, precision, punch, and shooter trust. They've taken down moose in Scandinavian landscapes, tackled coyotes on open ranch lands, and dropped whitetails effortlessly without needing fame. Some offer quiet, low-recoil shots with sharp accuracy. Others zip past 3,000 feet per second, competing with match-grade bullets. They all share one thing: they outshine what today's shooters often expect. We're exploring these often overlooked standbys. While the industry may have moved on, seasoned hunters and skilled shooters remain loyal. And by the end of this, you'll see why they still deserve a spot in your setup. 8mm Mauser 7.92 by 5.7mm. Germany's main cartridge through 2 world conflicts earned its reputation with tangible effectiveness, not flair. In dense elk areas or boar hunts, the standard 198 grain load, cruising over 2,600 feet per second, packs roughly 3,000 foot-pounds of energy. Though born in war, its recoil is often exaggerated. A full-size K98 rifle has a gentler kick than many modern magnums and consistently delivers accuracy. Once you address barrel float, throat wear, and bedding, even vintage military rifles and current sporters like the CZ550 can stack 5 rounds within 1 minute of angle. Handloaders find joy in this cartridge. Lightweight 150-grain ballistic tips can surge past 2,900 feet per second without pressure concerns, offering a flat zero out to 250 yards and devastating impact on medium game. Yet this round excels in wooded areas. Heavy bullets slice through moose shoulders or hog defenses with ease, retaining speed past 300 yards. Abroad, European hunters still trust their Yugo M48s and Berno 5Z. 24 seconds in dense brush and brisk boar chases. The cartridge feeds smoothly through Mauser actions and navigates light brush adeptly. Stateside, it faded behind the .3006 Springfield, but when an old surplus carbine demonstrates sub-minute groups at 100 yards, folks take note. Add a new barrel to a K98 and a quality scope, and you've got a 600-yard precision rifle on par with anything contemporary. The 7.92 by 5.7mm Mauser shows that with smart case design, moderate pressure, and time-tested platforms, you have a lasting combination that exceeds expectations. 280 Remington. Back in 1957, Remington reimagined the .3006, narrowing to 7mm and shifting the shoulder just over 50 thousandths forward, crafting one of hunting's best balanced rounds. Sadly, their marketing fell short. Fire all 140-grain AccuBond at 3,000 feet per second. Flies flatter than a .270 Winchester with better wind resilience. Use a 160-grain partition at 2,900 feet per second, and it drifts less than a .30 Aero-6 while penetrating deeper. Rifles like the Remington Model 700 Mountain or the Browning X-Bolt consistently achieve 3/4-inch groups without fancy bedding. Recoil is nearer to a .270 than a 7mm Magnum, gentle on the shoulder without sacrificing punch. Powder burn is highly efficient, promising longer barrel life than many Magnums while simplifying 700-yard shots, especially with a duplex scope. Elk hunters routinely take big bulls at 450 yards with 150-grain Barnes TSX bullets near 3,000 feet per second. Such success speaks volumes. So why didn't it soar? Remington first launched it in semi-autos and then renamed it 7mm Express, just as the 7mm Remington Magnum entered the scene. But handloaders today know differently. 60 grains of slow-burning powder and a bonded 150-grain bullet offer a go-anywhere, do-anything setup. Whether it's whitetails at 80 yards or antelope at 400, it's a breeze. Just aim and shoot. The .280 Remington remains the sweet spot between reach and comfort. Each time a Nosler Model 48 delivers cloverleaf groups, its underdog tag seems more like a clerical error. .264 Winchester Magnum. Launched in 1959 by Winchester, it touted a 140-grain Spitzer from a 26-inch Model 70 Westerner at 3,200 feet per second. Long-range fans were eager, but earlier chrome moly barrels didn't handle the heat well, and barrel wear deterred folks before full facts emerged. Modern stainless or 5R barrels stand firm. Push a 140-grain Berger VLD at 3,240 feet per second. Tight groups at 1,000 yards with less drift than new short Magnums. Drop to a 120-grain Barnes TTSX at 3,300 feet per second, and mule deer become easy picks across canyons. 3/8 minute groups frequent in rebarreled Ruger Hawkeyes or custom builds on robust actions. The long, unbelted case feeds smoothly, burning powder efficiently. Recoil above a 6.5 Creedmoor yet below a 7mm Magnum, perfect for seasoned users. The real wonder. From 50 to almost 400 yards, only one holdover may suffice. That simplicity breeds confidence. Critics worry over barrel wear. But today, shooters gain 1,200 rounds of match precision from a modern tube. That's a lifetime for most big-game hunters. Advocates for fast 6.5mm proclaim it's time for this round's return. Wyoming guides agree, especially after witnessing a 130-grain AccuBond piercing both lungs of an elk at over 500 yards. .256 Remington. Start with the roomy 30-06 case, neck it down to quarter bore, and you have a speedy round leaving the 6.5mm behind. Shoot a 110-grain Nosler AccuBond just over 3,080 feet per second, and the bullet rises less than 2 inches at 100 yards and drops only 6 inches at 300 yards. Ideal for rapid decisions on swift antelope plane shots, even factory Remington 700 ADLs can group within half a minute after tweaking bedding and adjusting the trigger. A custom barrel tightens clusters even more. Although fast, recoil is like a .243 Winchester rather than a Magnum, letting you see impacts. On black bear hunts, a 115-grain partition at 3,000 feet per second punches through with command. Meanwhile, a 75-grain VMAX dismantles prairie dogs at 350 yards with satisfying results. Wind drift does inch higher than some cutting-edge 6.5s beyond 600 yards. But within that range, the .256 Remington showcases outstanding speed and power. Unlike the overzealous .257 Weatherby, it treats your barrel kindly, making practice feasible and affordable. Rifle makers like Ruger, Browning, and Savage regularly chamber it, and handload options are vast thanks to its versatile parent case. Seasoned hunters often carry sub-7-pound bolt guns deep into the Brooks range, knowing a well-placed .256 shot can down a Dow ram without heavily thumping the shoulder or requiring turrets. For those craving Magnum Reach Sans Magnum burdens, this one excels. .303 British. When Commonwealth troops returned from the war, they brought more than just memories. They brought their Lee Enfields to the wilds. That's how the .303 British transitioned from surplus to a trusted hunting round. Modified number 4. Rifles and SMLEs with 150-grain soft points at about 2,690 feet per second, or heavier 174-grain bullets at around 2,460 feet per second, could achieve remarkable precision with the right setup. Many could group within 1.5 inches. This cartridge offers more of a gentle push than a sharp snap, encouraging steadier shooting and tighter groups, both on the bench and in the field. With a 174-grain soft point, the .303 brings power similar to a .308 Winchester out to 150 yards. The lighter 150-grain loads fly flatter than you'd think. Handloaders using contemporary brass and powders like Varget can still achieve 1-inch groups from old Parker Hale or BSA Sporters, often found in Canadian pawn shops each fall. On black bear hunts, a 180-grain spear hot core at 2,450 feet per second penetrates deeply without spoiling meat. At typical hunting distances, its moderate speed actually helps conventional bullets stay intact. The rimmed case and spacious chambers maintain safe pressures, so while speeds may not rival modern 308s up to 250 yards, it's nearly negligible. Enfields with iron sights still bring down moose in Newfoundland. Each November, hunters appreciate the minimal muzzle blast and quick follow-up shots of its famously smooth bolt. The .303 British may not win beauty prizes, but it's evidence that manageable recoil, trusty rifles, and consistent 1 to 1 1/4 minute of angle precision still stock the freezer. Then there's the 7mm Mauser, 7x57mm. Crafted by Paul Mauser in 1892, this round brings mild recoil with impressive downrange performance. A modern 140-grain boat tail at 2,800 feet per second offers drop and wind numbers comparable to today's top 6.5mm, but with more density to punch through hide and bone. Many old Spanish model 1893 rifles can still group under 1.5 minutes of angle with iron sights. Add a scope or start anew with a Ruger No. 1 International, and those groups tighten to under an inch. Hunters return to the 7mm Mauser for its mild kick and lethal results. Tales from Africa recount how Karamojo Bell used a Rigby .275, essentially a 7x57mm, for precise elephant shots with 173-grain solids. In the Rockies, a 150-grain partition pushed to 2,700 feet per second retains over 1,800 feet per second at 300 yards, sufficient for elk or mule deer. Smooth bolt guns like the CZ550 or a fine-tuned Model 98 cycle this round effortlessly, thanks to its tapered shoulder and balanced case. Whether with a 22 or 24-inch barrel, the powder burns evenly, keeping velocity stable. This cartridge laid groundwork for others. Expand it to a .30 caliber, you've got the .306. Neck it to .25, you've made the .257 Roberts. Even after all these years, the original holds its ground. When an old Chilean Mauser rings a 400-yard steel target, it proves power, accuracy, and comfort can all live in one cartridge. Then there's the 6mm Remington, .244. Remington, introduced in 1955 to outdo the .243 Winchester. Its slow 12-inch twist couldn't handle heavier bullets, earning it a varmint label. After adjusting to a 9-inch twist and renaming it in 1963, the stigma lingered, though performance still shone. A factory 100-grain soft, point at 3,100 feet per second, can down a coyote at 500 yards. Handload a 105-grain A Max similarly, and its sleek design flattens its path further. Custom rigs with 24-inch barrels can thrust 85-grain partitions past 3,400 feet per second, making for straight shooting light-game trajectories. Perfectly bedded Model 700 varmints or re-barreled Ruger 77s often group under half a minute of angle. Recoil lighter than a .243 Winchester, yet the 6mm Remington offers more downrange energy. That means swifter follow-up shots and more confidence for the shooter. Prairie dog hunters favor its generous free bore, maintaining safe pressures even maxed out. Meanwhile, deer hunters respect the way a 100-grain partition expands at 2,900 feet per second with minimal meat loss. Coyotes hit with a 75-grain VMAX barely react. What stands out is versatility. Swap the bullet and shift from pest control to harvesting whitetails. One rifle covers it all. Following is the .257 Roberts. Taking the classic 7x57mm case down to a 1/4 inch, mild pressure yields a smooth-shooting cartridge, offering more than its discreet reputation implies. A 117-grain Sierra Pro Hunter launched at 3,000 feet per second still exceeds 2,000 feet per second at 400 yards. With fine-tuned handloads in rifles like the Kimber Hunter or Winchester Model 70 Featherweight, under-inch groups aren't rare. Recoil is remarkably gentle at about 9 foot-pounds from a 7-pound rifle, so even beginners confidently stay on target. Despite its quiet demeanor, the .257 Roberts tackles antelope, deer, and elk if the bullet hits true. Part of its precision charm is its clever brass design. The case headspaces on the shoulder, keeping bullet jump steady, and its brass tends to be concentric. Vets often reach for it on coyote drives, thanks to a 100-grain partition that punches through with minimal noise. It's quiet enough for a follow-up on lingering coyotes. Factory loads vary, but handloaders find case forming easy and powder burning efficient. While interest centers on recent 6.5mm, the Roberts offers an uncommon mix of gentle recoil, robust field performance, and steady sub-minute accuracy. It's the cartridge that quietly settles into the 100-yard group club without boasting. The 6.5 by 55mm Swedish Mauser. First appearing in 1894, the enduring Swedish Mauser outperforms many recent 6.5mm. Its edge? Harmony. Components. From brass flexibility to chamber pressure to bullet shape work like a well-tuned orchestra. Compared to the 6.5 Creedmoor, the Swede operates at lower pressures, prolonging barrel life and brass durability. Load a 140-grain Hornady ELDX at an easy 2,700 feet per second, and stock Tikas or slightly modified Swedish Mausers often group at half a minute seamlessly. Go with a 155-grain Lapua Mega at 2,560 feet per second, and grasp why Scandinavian moose hunters rely on it for a century. Recoil is mild and linear, perfect for novices or those refining their precision. Its long, elegant bullets fit into a gently sloped case with an 8-degree shoulder, feeding smoothly from classic staggered magazines. On paper, its 500-yard energy remains above 1,600 foot-pounds, matching the Creedmoor's drifting abilities due to a mix of mass and momentum. From dense forests to wide-open hillsides, it anchors big game with grace and dependability. Whether in a sleek Sauer 100 or a sturdy Hoa 1500, today's rifles combine modern scopes and manufacturing with a timeless platform. The 6.5 by 55's long throat prefers weighty bullets seated deeply, and handloaders appreciate its forgiving nature. Vintage rifle enthusiasts still compete with this round, ringing steel at 1,000 yards, using surplus ammo decades old. When a cartridge lasts this long and still nails game and wins matches, it's not nostalgia, it's pure effectiveness.